What's up, everybody? It's your favorite famous last words, favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Dreamstar Toys Top Raid, which is their take on Air Raid, I'm guessing. It's almost impossible to tell based on the aesthetics here. I'm going purely off of the name. Now, I said I would never review any more of these, and then Robert insisted, and Robert's a friend of mine, and I have a hard time saying no, and he knows that. So he pushed, and here we are. So we're gonna take a look at this guy, if somewhat reluctantly, and it's interesting. I was talking on Patreon how, like, you know, I didn't really hate the first two. I just hated Silverbolt. So maybe this will put me back in some good graces. I'm definitely not combining this thing unless they are sent to me in combine mode and all I had to do is assemble it. I'm not going through that, I can promise you. But yeah, so let's go ahead and take a look at him. But in order to do so, we need to take a look at accessories. So he comes with two guns. They are identical, so we'll just waste our time with one. Two shades of silver, which is kind of the motif of this figure and looks good. And then the handle here collapses. The gun does peg into the palm of the hand with a very small peg that's not the easiest to connect, but once you have it, it's pretty secure. They can be stored underneath. In typical kind of Dreamstar fashion, they couldn't choose an easy way to do it. There's a tab right there that's kind of perpendicular to the jet. And then there's the slot there, and that's how it plugs in. And you can do it on both sides. He comes with a display stand. This armature here is the same one as the other ones. This armature here can go in the front or the back. There's a light up feature. And while we're on the topic, I'll just say the gimmicks. There's a light up feature in here for this little spotlight, and then one in his eyes too that we'll harp on a bit when we get to robot mode. And then he has two different adapters and like a spudger tool. So you can use this adapter here, right? And then that has a peg that goes directly into his backside. And then you can kind of do whatever you'd like with it, but that will support him. Utilizing the other adapter with the two hooks, you'll find two slots underneath the airplane that it can go in, and then you can have it flying about. And that works quite nicely. So let's take a look at the figure and we'll get in tight on the head sculpt for Dennis. So the sculpt is good. I actually like it a lot. It has like, you know, like the kind of, I think the idea that people are saying with this set is it's supposed to be like what you would want the Bayformers to look like, you know? And I get that, but there's a lot of IDW inspiration in that head sculpt. I got a sneeze coming on, I'm warning y'all now. But the red looks good, two shades of silver, heads on a ball peg, you get up to there, down to, told you, down to there, little bit of an attitude, and a swivel. But the eyes are dead, you know? Such a bummer, man. Not a good way to do business, in my opinion. We know that you can have light up features and have good looking heads at the same time and good looking eyes. All right, so the shoulders. We have some Tampo paint or pad printed paint there, gold and white. And we have the silver paint throughout. Down here you have some silver and gold. And then you have basically a universal joint at the shoulder along with a hinge inside the chest. Using both, you can get the arm up to 90 degrees. It actually looks good too. The arm will come down, that's ratcheted. It'll swivel around until you meet up with the backpack. You have a bicep swivel. You have a double jointed elbow. That gets you the full run. You have a wrist swivel, a wrist hinge outward, and then the fingers are independently and individually articulated. They are on a base ball peg along with a secondary and tertiary hinge. And the thumb is on a ball peg along with a secondary and tertiary hinge. So fully realized hands there. All right. Same for the other side. Waist swivel, tight little joint, but it's there. Red accents. We have some pad printed paint there. Some gold. All that looks good. I kind of dig the general aesthetic, like the chest, abdomen, the oblique area, like it looks cool to me. I've looked for a ab crunch and I can't find it, even though sometimes I feel like it's likely to have one if it is a arm bot. But maybe it's there and I can't find it, but I have looked. All right, hips. So this backpack is another thing. It has a tendency to come unpegged. Doesn't take much to peg it back in, but still a bit obnoxious. Hips, universals, ratcheted out for the full Van Damme. Forward and back for just shy of the full Monty. Thigh swivel. Double jointed knee has like a kind of a Flame Toys effect where the knee pad does maneuver around as you manipulate the knee. That stuff's always pretty cool. Ratcheted. Great range of motion. Pad printed paint, silver paint, completely smothered in paint, to be fair. And then we have the ankles. So, no real ankle tilt up nor down, but you do get the rocker. And the rocker is really on a toe, so it's kind of a cheat, but it does work. And there it is from the back. Let's do some size comparisons. Size comparison-wise, there he is with one of the Fans Toys offerings. So, pretty similar Masterpiece scaling, a little bit taller maybe, but it's probably negligible. I have his knees bent a little bit, so on and so forth. So, about what you would expect from a Masterpiece aerial bot in terms of scaling. Let's go ahead and get him transformed. So, bring the arm up. Turn the bicep first. Then bring the arm up. And then make sure that the hand is kind of straight. You want to disconnect this panel here. I said there. Off to a smashing start, aren't we? And then this comes down and then up. And you can take this piece and extend it. And that piece, I think, comes down also. So we're going to do the same thing on this side. Bicep 90. Rotate up. This piece here is like, you have to pull it away. Hand straight. Down. And up. If yours is like mine, the backpack will have already fallen into pieces by this point. If it hasn't, just pull everything down. These pieces come around and tab in as like fins. Almost, they're not fins, but it's going to look like fins. And then these pieces, if you can see these like side pieces here, they come out and around. And don't feel good when you do it. Golly, dude. Okay. And let's see, what else can we do? All right, we can open up this chest here. Open up this. That's where his head will tuck in. This comes up. Give yourself as much room as need be with the shoulders and such. Open these pieces up. And then these pieces come down. And all of this tabs in here. That has to come up. Lift this piece up too. That'll give you the clearance to tab these in. All right, and then you can sort of tuck that back, I think. And then we can push that. Oh well, you get the idea. Tab that in. Come back and try to fix this. It's tricky because it doesn't really sit nicely. All right, and then we can bring our cockpit here. This whole section has to come out and around. You can bring the landing gear down. These pieces need to come up and over. And then this, let me make sure that this is tabbed in. There. This comes up and over. these tabs here on the side, if you can see that, they actually tab into the landing gear. And then just tighten all that up. And then these pieces here that I said were like the fins, they're gonna flip up and over and tab in to the side there. Untab this wing and this wing. And then there's two separate sections we have to separate. Section 1, Section 2, there. Section 2, all right? This piece from the foot folds in. This heel spins around and collapses. And then that whole foot tucks back in. This covers back down. I can't get it quite right, but take my word for it. This piece sits over top. All right, we need to get this knee pad out of its kind of like rail. So you get that up, then you can tuck that piece in. And then we need to get that piece right here swiveled out of the way so that we can drop down this armature, little tight little joint, and then we can close that back up. All right, on the opposite side, we have to kind of untab all this stuff, just try to figure out where it all is. There's a ton of flaps that need flipping. All right, so just figure out where it all is. This piece here, the main piece, swivels 180, slides up and out to sort of lay against the back here. This piece swivels down, and then you can see there's a mushroom peg there. That swivels 180. Connect all of your wings. This swivels, I think, 180. We're close to it. This kind of double hinges. Why isn't that right? Or maybe this one. Oh yeah, it's just weird to kind of keep oriented. So this one comes up and then this one comes up. Okay, got it. And then all of this comes down. And has to tab in, right? Into the side here. I think that's it. So no, I didn't have it quite right. So make sure that the kind of bits here with the dots are facing up, and then orient the wing around that. We'll try to show it a little bit better on this side. Let's see here. I'm trying to remember where we started. All right, open up these wings. And then there's two sections here. One section, and then I might need a spudger. Two sections. For the foot, fold in the heel, bring down the foot, spin the toe, fold the toe up, put that in there, close that, bring up the thruster. You can leave this bit here, bring that bit down. For the kneecap, you're going to bring that up. You probably need to bend this first joint here, which opens up the rail for you to bring the kneecap out. Then this piece needs to rotate up, but it needs to do so enough to get that piece past it, and then you can close this back up. Then you can straighten the leg. On the other side, you have all of this. Just flip all your flaps until you can't do much more flipping. This little section here extends. The whole plate comes up, slides up, swivels around 180, and then goes back down. We'll try to get this out of the way. This backpack is going to be the death of me. All right, so that sits back like that. Swing this around. This is the part that you want connected. So bring that in sideways. Make sure that that all matches up with these wings. This wing needs to rotate around. This wing is going to come to the other side. All that stuff will tab in there. And then this wing comes up, tabs into the top, and this wing just folds around, I guess. No, I don't have that. Do I have that right? No, I don't have it right. It's tricky, man. All right, so it needs to go like that. There. Then this comes up, tabs in, and this one comes around and tabs in. It's just a little tricky. All right. There. That's both of them. Open up this crotch plate here. Angle the two hip skirts in. Spin the crotch plate 180. Make sure you got your hip skirts open. They're going to sit over top of the port where you plug in the stand. I don't know if that's right. And then you're going to bring these down. No, that ain't right. There, maybe that's right. There we go. And tab these into one another. A bunch of over-unders. Couple tabs. Your wings are going to become obliterated. I mean, and that's basically it. You know, I'll fix it all. We'll clean it up and move on. The arms come down, and there's two tabs. One here and one there, and they go into corresponding slots on the body. You know, just do your best. Get these knee pads out of the way. Same for this side. There's one. Yeah, perfect. All right. Then your knee pads here, this female goes to that male. I don't have that quite right. My wings are coming undone. And then these two pieces, this folds out, and then they tab together. And then they come and sit down and tab in. Those are the steps to it. I obviously don't have it clean. That's how you do it though. I'll get it sorted and come back. Let's wing it, am I right? So open this up. All of this stuff is just completely collapsed. So do what you gotta do. Get all of this tabbed in appropriately. This has to come down, tab in there, and then this piece rotates up, tabs in underneath the wing, and then you can make sure that this is tabbed in appropriately, and then this has to come over and slide up and in. And we're going to do the same on this side. When I quit reviewing, I don't want anybody to ask me why. I want you all to understand. All right. This has to come up and tab in to the wing. This comes back and tabs in. I'll get it cleaned up. We'll take a look at it. So there it is, and it is ultimately impressive. Does not roll, really, but it should. Maybe it's just it might be my kind of smooth surface here. You have the same sort of detailings that come through. They're beautiful. I don't think the cockpit does open, so that's nice. And yeah, like one thing that I must say is like, you know, it hides the robot very well. You know, I have feelings about how it does this. Don't get me wrong, but it is impressive. It's not unlike, you know, the Shatter that we looked at recently, where I have some criticisms about how they pulled it off, but I can't deny the impressive nature to which they pulled it off. It looks like a great jet, to be honest. I love all the detailings and all like the kind of darker gunmetal paint over the darker silver. Like, I think that looks great. I think this mode is super successful. Let me show you what he looks like next to Tiger Tracks. For a sense of scale, it's huge, and I think that works. Let's keep it moving. Open these up, tab them back into the back. There's little tabs here. Separate your wings. Get them up and out of the way. And then bring these guys out as well. And I'm going to get my bearings before I mess with them, because these things eat me up. All right, so the top piece you're going to put in the same spot. The bottom piece you want to rotate so that you can see the mushroom peg, I believe. And you want the... this to kind of be like this armature here to be sitting forward but bent back. And when that collapses, you can get these wings out of your way. Your wing will line up and tab in to there. Then you can use your double hinge and flip that one over. And this one comes up, I think, and tabs into the side there. So we'll do that again. And it's a nightmare. And it's just because of the amount of moving pieces that are involved. But I'll try to walk you through it. So once again, you want the mushroom peg showing, but you want it angled backward, right? And then you want to bring this wing over, tab it in, flip that one back, and then this one swings around, right? Yeah. And tabs into the upper part of that armature. And then we have these wings. The last two sections stay together. These first two do not. So you can untab, up and over, untab, up and over, and then the whole wing rotates on this section here. 180. This piece comes down, and then there is an armature here. Is it there? Where it has to rotate. No, it's not. In order to get that piece into there. And the movement is right here on that mushroom peg, and that's going to be a little tricky. Because of this notch out piece. Why would they ever do it that way? Let me see if I can get this off camera. I got it, and I figured out a little trick. So we'll do it better on this side. So separate underneath here, and then disconnect that section, and you've got to separate again, or no? Can't see what I'm doing. There, and bring it up and over. And then we got to rotate the wing around 180. Now, when it's here, about halfway through, let's disconnect our missile here first. Tab that in. Actually, let's keep it straight. When you're here, if you rotate it at that point, then you can clear that peg, no problem. And then we'll tab this back in, and then once that wing is back in place, you can move it over with no problem, tab it in, and as long as this stuff stays tabbed in, it'll sit nicely. Then you want to open up all this stuff. I think it's got to go. I think all of it's got to go, to be honest with you. I'm breaking all my spudgers. I have to re-up soon. Maybe not. This comes out and over. Maybe that can stay. And then you got to put your landing gear away. So just open this up. Open that up. Fold in the landing gear, and then fold in that whole section that it was on, and then close that back up. And then there's a peg on the canopy here that goes into that slot down in there. And I'll fix all this, but you get the idea. And then lastly, we do have to open this up. Open that up. Open that up. Just put this back to kind of how it was originally. And bring this section down. And this tab is going to go right there above the abdomen. Just wedge it in. And that is it, my friends. I will clean it up and we'll take a look at it. And there it is. I mean, it's solid. I can't remember if I had a problem with the leg bot before or the arm bot before. But Yeah, I mean, the wings are having a problem staying in. They're associated with that backpack. That's just a problem with this figure throughout. Size-wise, I think it's decent. Let me give you a look at it next to Tiger Tracks. We'll do some final thoughts, and we will get out of here. Final thoughts-wise, we'll start with the negative. My biggest issue in robot mode is that the backpack just constantly comes untabbed and flips and flops around. You have to constantly sort it. Not the biggest deal in the world, but it is obnoxious in a user-friendly sense. There's also a bit of a barrier to get the guns plugged into the hands. Once you have it, they're good to go, but it just doesn't feel like it's the most thought-out fit. I don't like that the eyes are dead in robot mode. That's something I'm always going to harp on. And it would have been nice to have an ab crunch, but most of the articulation is pretty good, to be fair. I mean, the negative, really, it's the transformation and just the amount that has to get done in order to get done. And it doesn't seem like it's all that necessary. It seems like, honestly, once again, it just seems like a lot of folks that don't have it quite figured out yet. It's like they gave a Ferrari to somebody that just got a learner's permit. So you have stuff like the backpack that doesn't stay stuck in, stuff like the wings that don't stay stuck in when you're in combine mode, stuff like bending flaps over each other in order to make them work because of over-under tabs. Like all that kind of stuff just has a little bit less of a polished feel to it. And it comes through. Moving on to the positives, like I mentioned before, like most of the articulation is spot on. You could have used a little bit more in the ankles and an ab crunch, but for the most part, the articulation is great. The paint is great throughout. It's smothered in it. It's clean. It's sharp. It's striking. It has a dynamic presence to it. So much, in fact, that it makes the eyes look worse. Doesn't overload you with accessories, but it comes with an appropriate amount. And I love all the ratchets, the hardware in this figure. Works really well. I think the overwhelming positive about this figure is the alt mode. The jet looks absolutely stunning, completely beautiful. Like I don't think you could ask for a better thing, and it's very impressive how it hides it. I think that a lot of people, like laymen, wouldn't even suspect it was a Transformer. Like it's really in disguise, which is not lost on me. That's pretty cool. So look, this is one of the better ones of the set. Not without its issues, but I can recommend it. Just be aware of everything that I've kind of discussed. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.